Hey, this is Matthew Ricks, and today on the Music Business Newsletter, we got an email from a guy who's trying to figure out how to make it in music when you have zero time. But before we dive into that email, I ask you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree, or if you want to give our man here some words of encouragement or advice. And if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click Submit Your Question, give me as many details as possible, and I will answer it here on the channel. But for today's email, it's a good one. The email says, hey, Matthew, I'm at a point where I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I am 36 years old. I sing country music, and I know I've got a lot of real talent. I'm not trying to sound full of myself or arrogant, but I genuinely believe I could be a star if I just had the time to actually work on this. Well, I will start off by saying at least you're self-aware that you don't have a lot of time and you sent the question in looking for advice. So that's better than just sitting around going to your friends who have no dreams, who have no vision, whose lives are completely and utterly chaotic and saying, I don't have any time. And they go, I understand. But let's continue with the email, shall we? He says, here's the problem. I don't have time, like none, between a full-time job, 3 kids with school stuff every other night, a wife who expects me to be fully present when I'm home, friends who get offended if I skip hanging out with them, and the one hobby that still keeps me sane, pickleball. I've never played pickleball. I've been asked to play pickleball. I've never done it. Usually pickleball people are like vegetarians. They love to tell you that they play pickleball. And I just haven't done it yet. Maybe in 2026 when the weather warms up. He says, I feel like I'm being stretched in 20 directions. Well, let me tell you, welcome to having a career and having kids. I think if we were to survey any parent who's actively involved with their kids, who has a full-time job, I think all of us feel that way. You don't mention where you're from. You don't mention if the kids have any activities, if you're in travel sports or not. And if, and a wife who expects you to be fully present when home. Yeah, I mean, all of that is the responsibilities that you signed up for. A job, kids, wife. The friends who get offended if you skipped hanging out with them, who cares? Your friends need to be supportive of what you're doing. I recorded this in Matrix Minute like 2 years ago where it's like, you might need to say goodbye to some of your friends. Because I think your friends, they will encourage you. Not all, but most friends will encourage you when you're starting off something because you have the guts to do something that they wouldn't do. But if it gets in the way of the friendship, then you really start to see how supportive your friends are. You know, if you can't go to the barbecue, if you can't go to movie night, you start to see who really does support what you're doing. But having a full-time job and a couple of kids with school stuff, I mean, and a wife, that's just being an adult, man. That's called adulting right there. The pickleball, cut it out. The friends, cut them out. If you're telling me you don't have time, then you don't have time for pickleball. I'm a single dad, co-parent, and we have to co-parent with a daughter who is aggressively in travel softball. Shout out to the Explosions. And so you're constantly going to batting cages. You're constantly going to practices or all-day tournaments or traveling to all-day tournaments. And you still got to do a career. You still got to, make time to go to the gym or go walk. And it just turns into what your priorities are. I have never looked at the sacrifice that I've made for either one of my kids and been like, you've gotten in my way. But I also don't have a pickleball addiction yet. Apparently, if I play, I'm going to love it. The email continues. Now, on top of all that, I'm being told by people like you that I need to constantly be posting if I want anyone to take me serious as an artist. My wife even told me last week, either get serious about this or stop pretending it's your dream. So I'm not a relationship guy. I am single, very single. I don't have time, When the wife is getting that intense with the motivation, is one, you probably have more time than you're putting in the email, because the wife probably notices you lounging on the couch watching Netflix or just wasting your time doom scrolling. And then she probably feels your anxiety that nothing's happening, you're not moving forward, this sucks, the dream is dead. And she's probably has to act like your therapist and your mommy and your business manager. And so if your wife is telling you that, to either get serious about this or stop pretending it's your dream, it's your wife is exhausted with you. And she's probably tired of the mood swings. And she's probably tired of you wasting your time. And then you probably complain to her that you have no time, but she probably sees you wasting your time at pickleball or jumping because your friends want you to hang out with them on a Friday night and you go do it. But let's continue with the email. He says, when my wife said that, that really hit me. Not because she's wrong, but because honestly, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that with everything else going on. Cut out pickleball, cut out the friends. He says, I feel like I'm being punished for being a responsible adult. Alex Hermosi says, it's not your 9 to 5 that kills your dream. It's what you do from 5 to 9. What you do after you get home. And you're telling me that, you know, you got pickleball and you got friends who don't understand that you're trying to pursue a dream and that's getting in the way. That's your problem right there. You could, the time that you take playing pickleball, you could make enough content for the week and schedule it. And then you have to check your social media throughout the week to respond, to reply, to like, whatever. But if pickleball's getting in the way, pickleball's got to go. If Friday night poker with the boys is getting in the way, poker's got to go, or to hang with the friends. I got a really good friend here in town, producer. Shout out to Taylor Bailey. We have been trying to get together now for 7 weeks. And it's like, oh, are you free this day? No, I can't. I got to go to my daughter's softball practice. Are you free this day? He's like, no, I got a songwriting session. Are you free this day? I'm like, no, I got to take my son to acting class. I got to be at acting class. It's just, and nobody gets offended. Everybody just understands, like, this is life. This is your life. He says, I feel like I'm being punished for being a responsible adult. Like the only people who get to make it are the ones who don't have real lives or real responsibilities. Well, that's not true at all. He says, I don't get to disappear into the studio for 12 hours or spend every weekend chasing content. Yeah, but you do get to spend every weekend playing pickleball and hanging with your boys. He says, I barely get 30 minutes a day to myself, and that's usually while hiding in my car before going inside. This is why we call everybody Bob or Sarah, okay? Because his wife probably is dealing with a bunch of screaming kids, and he's sitting in the car dreaming about pickleball. Hiding in the car before going inside. Okay. He continues, it feels unfair. I want this. I really do. Not more than you want pickleball. He says, I just don't have the luxury of endless time like younger artists or single people do. I mean, I know single people who tell me how busy they are. They don't have time to pursue their career. It's because like, well, what are you doing on the weekends? Oh, well, you know, Friday and Saturday nights, I go out with my friends, and then, you know, I'm recovering on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. You know, the single people, their biggest distraction is they're swiping too much on Tinder or stalking their ex on Instagram. And then they're like, oh, I don't know where the night went. I think I do. He goes, so I guess what I'm asking is, how is someone with a real adult life supposed to compete in this industry? How is someone with a real adult life supposed to compete in this industry? You make time. You make time for what's important. If you put the kids down, you need to be a dad first. You need to be a husband first. Then you're an artist second. But once you put the kids down, you've spent some time with the missus. She feels happy. You probably are watching Netflix or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. Take that 30 minutes, upload some content, try to book a show, send emails out, connect with fans in that 30 minutes. And it'll become rewarding if you're serious. It'll become rewarding where you'll continue to do it. I don't personally like social media. Like, I know I have to post. I used to never post. And then I got called out for being a hypocrite by an artist that I work with. And he said, you're a hypocrite. And I said, how so? And he goes, you're always telling us to post and you never post. I was like, oh crap. But I don't like, I won't post pictures with like artists, friends of mine and stuff, because I'm not trying to pimp them to get likes or follows. So I always just try to find cool experiences to engage with. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think anybody who's married or has kids and has a full-time job, they could literally sit here and tell you, yeah, you have my same life. They probably don't have pickleball, but they've probably neglected their friends. They have, neglected their hobbies. I mean, just the other day I was talking to my friend and I'm like, I'd like to take a painting class, like learn how to paint. I just don't have time to do it. Because there's always something. There's always something with the career. The last couple of days I've been going to industry stuff. I've had to be a dad. And when you're a single dad, you don't have a wife to hide out in the car. You're there. And then when you don't have your kids, you try to like work as much as you possibly can because you're about to get them again. But even when you don't have custody of your kids, you still going to the softball practices. You're still going to the tournaments. You're still picking them up, taking them to the cages. You still got to work. You still got to make money. I still got to do these newsletters. I still got to go to showcases at night or movie premieres or whatever. It's just the way it is. So how does somebody with a real adult life supposed to compete in this industry? Well, the people who win in this industry, they have talent, yes, but they have drive. They'll lose a half an hour of sleep a night to do something. They won't play pickleball because that time could be used on something far greater. They're not scrolling on TikTok. They're not scrolling on Instagram all night long. They're laser light focus. My single people out there, the ones who are serious, they're not on Tinder. They're not on Hinge because they know they don't have the time or the emotional energy. And if you're a single parent, you ain't got time for all that stuff anyways. So how do you make it as a real adult? You sacrifice for what you want, or what you want will become a sacrifice. You put down the pickleball. You tell your friends, like, during this season, I can't hang out with you every Friday night, every Saturday night. Because in all of this, I don't even know if you're dating your wife properly. Like, are you going out with your wife? Are you spending time with your wife? Is your wife resenting you because you're kind of shelving her so you can focus on your career? I think that if you want to be serious about this and you say you have no time, but you got your one love pickleball and your friends, get rid of that stuff. Don't watch Netflix at night. Don't watch cable news. When you put the kids down, you spend some time with your wife, give it 30 minutes to an hour. Post content, create content. You could talk about your song by sitting on your couch when everybody's asleep. If you kids, I don't know how old your kids are, but if your kids have activities and you're there, you can be posting content, creating content there. Give the fans who enjoy you. I mean, you tell me you could be a star. Well, when you're a star, people love seeing the inside workings of your life. That's how you make it. He says, how do I balance being a dad, husband, working professional, and still trying to grow my music career? Cut out pickleball. Let your friends get mad at you. Let them get butthurt. Let them try to guilt trip you. And you just tell them, like, look, in this season, I got to commit to this. My wife's putting pressure on me. I'm failing myself. I'm failing my wife. I'm failing my kids because I'm making a bunch of excuses why this isn't working. And I want to show my kids what hard work can do. Now, maybe I won't be Garth Brooks, but maybe I can show my kids what hard work looks like and not making excuses. Because all this is excuses. I don't have time, but I'm going to pickleball. He said, is it even realistic to chase this when life gets in the way this much? When I started doing this music business newsletter, the one thing that the people closest in my life, when we were talking about it and my team and everything, was like, okay, with your label work, with the Matrix Minute, with your passion project to interview artists, do you have time to do this? And I said, I'll make time. And I do. You make time for what's important. And right now, it sounds like pickleball is more important than your music. So, you asked how do you balance being a dad, husband, working professional, still trying to grow your music? Well, you didn't put in there a pickleball lover, a friend hanger-outer. Because right there, if you do those two things every week, I'm just guessing, but lowball is probably 4 or 5 hours a week. How much content could you write in 4 or 5 hours or create? How many songs could you write or start working on? How many emails could you send in that 4 or 5 hours? Matter of fact, you know what? You could keep your pickleball. I don't think you should. Or hanging out with your friends. But if, say, you cut those 4 or 5 hours out, and then you commit to an hour every night. Well, now you got 12 hours a week. Low ball. Because I'm only hanging out with your friends 2-3 hours, and I'm giving pickleball 2 hours. I don't know how long pickleball is. Now you got 12 hours a week to work on your career, to work on your music, to build your brand. Right here in one email, within 20 minutes, I gave you 12 hours. But are you going to disappoint your friends? Are you going to say no to pickleball to pursue your dream? To follow your purpose and your passion? It's up to you, my guy. And he continues, I'm tired of feeling like a failure because I can't make TikToks. No, you're a failure because you're making excuses. He says, between pickleball tournaments and bedtime routines. How long do pickleball tournaments last? I mean, I know like a softball tournament, man, you could be there for like 14 hours. But a pickleball tournament? How long does those last? Somebody leave me a comment and let me know how long a pickleball tournament lasts. And he says, so I feel like a failure because I can't make TikToks between pickleball tournaments and bedtime routines. I know I have what it takes. I just need someone to tell me how to make this all fit. Cut out the pickleball tournaments. Right there. When you put your kids to bed, I assume bedtime routines, you got younger kids, so you got to do a whole routine. It does get easier. Well, it gets easier when they get older in the sense that there's not a lot of bedtime routines. You're just like, go to bed. And then you go tell them goodnight and you love them and everything. But you don't have to like read them a story or anything. It does get easier with the routines. But right now, get rid of the pickleball tournaments, man. Like, there's your problem. You said you know what you have what it takes. Prove it. Show us that you have what it takes as an artist and not a pickleball player. So how do I make this all work? Disappoint your friends. And if you lose your friends in this process, you'll make new ones. You'll make friends who understand. You'll make friends who, will be rooting for you and cheering you on. You will make new friends who will support your dream. But let me tell you right now, if your friends know that they got to guilt trip you to come hang out, and that's getting in the way of your music, and that's getting in the way of your career, they're not real friends. And if you keep doing this pickleball in the tournaments, I guess what you can show your kids is how to get a trophy in a pickleball tournament, if they give trophies out, or rings. I don't know what they do in pickleball tournaments. But by your wife telling you right now, it's time for you to step up, she's getting tired of this. And so right now, your excuses and your friends and your love for pickleball might have you end your career and possibly end your marriage and your family. Is the excuses worth it? That's for you to decide. But thank you for the email. If you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible. It's absolutely free to do. I don't need you to become a member or sign up for a Patreon or join a book club or buy a book or any of that stuff. Just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible. I'm Matthew Ricks, and until next time, I will talk to you later.